right? Sequences. And there are two types of sequences. What's one type?
Arithmetic.
I didn't know that.
Dude, I forgot all that.
And it adds, subtracts,
What unit is this?
1. And we call it a common difference, or we used lowercase d. Common difference. Okay, what was the other type of sequence? Geometric. Geometric. And it multiplies. And we use a common ratio r.
Is it divided?
If it's getting smaller, it's multiplying by a fraction or a decimal.
Okay. Do you have an eraser? I can borrow.
Remember that?
No. Like, how much are we talking about you want to need?
I'm giving you the highlights of what you need right now. Recursive formula for an arithmetic is a sub n, your previous term, plus your common difference. We also have to define what the first term is. So recursive takes your previous term, a sub n minus 1, and you either add or subtract your common difference. We also wrote explicit formulas for an arithmetic, which is just a sub n equals common difference times n, your term number, plus a sub 0. So again, d is common difference. It's like your slope. N is the term number. It's like your x. A sub n is the output. It's like your y. Cool? That's all I'm going to ask you to do for sequences. Can you handle that?
I can handle that.
The other part of this unit was linear functions. Linear. Y equals mx plus b. What is m?
Slope.
Yay, it's slope. What is b?
Y-intercept.
Your y-intercept. So in a table or a point, it would be 0 and your b value. What am I going to ask you to do with linear equations? I'm going to ask you to graph and find the equation from 2 points, which we'll practice here in just a minute. You also need to recall the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is from Algebra 1. Slope formula. Oh, I forgot one thing. Your favorite equation from sequences. Anyone remember what it is?
Sum.
The sum, S sub n. N is the number of terms. A sub 1 is the first term. A sub n is the last term, all divided by 2. Now, I haven't printed your finals yet, and I changed something this morning. I went in and I added this formula for you. You're welcome. I put that on the test next to the problem. Okay? But you need to know slope formula. You need to know y equals mx plus b. Please. And you need to know arithmetic and geometric. What are they? Questions? Anyone still writing before we start some problems together?
I'm still writing.
No worries. It says use the recursive formula to generate the first 4 terms of the sequence it describes. A, you start with a sub 1 is negative 24. A sub n is taking the previous term and minusing 4. So it starts at negative 24. What would the next term be?
Negative 28.
And then the next term.
Negative 32.
And then the next one.
Negative 34.
Close. Okay, the first 4 terms. That's it. It then wants us to find the 15th term. So you could sit here and calculate the 15th term.
That's what I do.
Or you could just say, well, the slope or the common difference is -4 times n. What would the 0 term be?
15.
-20.
-20. So to get the 15th term, how do I use this equation now?
Plug in 15 for n.
Good. Let's do that. Plug in 15 for n. Got your calculators? -15. Or -4 times 15 and then -20. What is it? Actually, now I have to find the sum of the first 15 terms. So again, whoops, S sub n is the number of terms times my first term plus my last term, all divided by 2. What's my first term?
-20.
-24. What's my last term in this series for 15?
80.
-80. And I'm going to times that by the number of terms. Whoops. Okay. This is technically the sum, S sub 15, because I'm summing up the first 15 terms. So now I'm going to do PEMDAS. I'm going to add in the parentheses first. Then we multiply, then we divide. What is our final sum going to be? It should be negative. Negative.
708.
Great. And I'm just going to have you find the sum of a arithmetic recursive formula. We're not going to do this for geometric. Are we cool with that?
No.
One problem. Here we go. Part B. This is a sub n minus 1 times 12. So this is geometric. If I want to list the first 4 terms, it starts at 1. And then what's the second term?
13.
Well, I'm timesing by 12.
12.
What's the next one?
144.
What's the next one?
2. No.
1,728.
Sweet. That's it.
I got what?
Do 144 times 12.
Oh.
Questions? It's geometric. Can you list the first 4 terms of a geometric sequence? All right, that's all I'm going to ask you about sequences. Okay? Number 2. Identify the slope and the y-intercept and graph it. What's the slope from this?
-2.
What's the y-intercept? How do we graph this? Where do I start? At what point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do I move with my slope? Down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. And when I have enough points, I'm going to connect it. Arrows at the end because it goes on forever. Not so bad. It's in slope-intercept form. We're good. What form is B in?
Standard.
It's in standard form. You still have to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Let's just solve this equation for y and write it in slope-intercept form. So I want to get y alone. So I'm going to minus 3x from both sides. And I want to get y alone. So what's the last thing I'll do? Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. So y, what's 12 divided by 4? 3. I'm going to leave this as a fraction so I can see my slope. So my slope is
-3/4.
yes, my slope is -3/4. It's always the number next to x. My y-intercept is 0, 3. And now we can graph it. So leave your slope as a fraction because it's your rise over your run. So I'm going to start up at 1, 2, 3. And my slope's telling me to move down 3 and right 4. questions? Flip your page. We're going to do 3 together. Given 2 points below, find the slope, y-intercept, write the final equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. That's our final thing. Do you notice anything about the points?
It gives you the y-intercept.
Do you see that? When x is 0, this is the y-intercept. So I don't have to do any solving for b. I just have to solve for slope now.
Rise of a run.
Rise of a run. So, my y value, -3, minus my first y value, 2. All over my second x value, 1, minus my first x value, 0. -5 over 1 gets -5. Put it all together. What is our equation?
Y equals -5x plus 2.
Boom. That's it. Questions? Can we skip to 6 and the you do practice?
Nah.
Okay, I'll let you try it.
I don't see
6? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of graphs.
6. Oh yeah, which 6 you want us to do? First one or the second 6?
The second 6. Sorry.
7?
Sure. It's this one. Looking at the points, do you see y? Anyone see one?
no 0.
There's no 0. We don't give you the 0. So we're going to solve for slope, right? This is my x1, my y1, my x2, my y2. -4 minus a -2. I'm going to use parentheses. -4 minus a 4. Does everyone see how I set up that slope? -2 over -8. That's going to be positive, but what's the simplified fraction?
1/4.
1/4. So my slope is 1/4. Or, if you're not happy about a fraction, 0.25. Okay? If fractions make you sad, convert it to a decimal. Because a negative divided by a negative is positive.
So 2 divided by
A -2 divided by a -8 should give you 0.25 in your calculator.
Oh yeah, alright.
All right, now I have to solve for the y-intercept. I know my slope. Do I know anything else?
No.
Point.
I know a point. I'm going to pick the first point. I'm going to put in -2 for y.
I remember this.
I'm going to put in 1/4 for my slope, 4 for my x, and the only thing that's unknown is b.
Well, why'd you put 4 in for your x?
I'm using the first point.
Oh.
What's 1/4 times 4?
1.
1. So now I'm really doing -2 equals 1 plus b. So what is my y-intercept going to be?
-3.
0, -3. Let's put it all together now. Y equals
1/4 x minus 3.
That's it.